Good morning. My name is Carl Spencer. I'll be conducting the risk assessment webinar today. Your screen will change shortly so you get the maximum benefit of our slides. So let's start with what is a risk assessment. A risk assessment, deferred by the law, is a careful examination of what in your work could cause harm. This is an extract of a safety bell risk assessment form, the place you put your risks into a database. It's very simple. You add a description, who's affected, the hazard, the control measures, and the scores. So let's just go over them again. A form to simply add the description, who's affected by this, the potential hazards, the control measures, and the scores. The scores are used to ensure that the control measures you've put in place have turned a high risk or medium risk activity into a low or negligible risk. As you can see from this, people seem to get grief. People seem to get grief and feel that risk assessments are a burden. And even some people seem to say, don't need one. I don't need to do a risk assessment, I'm safe. So how can you feel grief and it be a burden and create anxiety with you and say you don't need one, when this is a very simple and easy process to do? In fact, so easy that you probably did one this morning before you left home. You looked out the window, you looked at the weather, the ground conditions, and you determined what footwear to wear. You looked at the hazard, you looked at the risk, and then you control measure in place was suitable footwear. Also looking out the window, you've seen it was raining. You don't want to get wet, but the control measure you put in place was to use an umbrella. You also noticed it was a very wind chill factor in the air today. So you assessed the risk, your control measure was to wear suitable and adequate clothing. Wow, this is done every day, and you use common sense to do this. And common sense is a backbone of health and safety. It's not used enough today. Now, the only difference between doing a risk assessment at home, choosing your boots, your coat, or to use an umbrella, is that in business, it is a legal requirement. The law states every employer shall make a suitable and sufficient assessment of the risks to health and safety of his employees. That's what's written down in the Management Health and Safety at Work Regulations 1999. As you can see on the screen there, showing you Regulation 3. So let's just read that again. Every employer shall make a suitable and sufficient assessment of the risks to health and safety of his or her employees. It doesn't say if you're a hairdresser, you don't need to do one. It doesn't say if you're a one-man roofer, electrician, plumber, you don't need to do one. It doesn't say if you're working in an office, you don't need to do one. It says every employer. So how should we do this today to be successful in complying with the law? Well, we potentially employ a manager, a health and safety manager, an operations manager, a project manager who will create the risk assessment. Record the activity, apply the control measures, turning that high or medium risk activity into a low or negligible risk. That manager then sends it out, sends a document out to the workers, the contractors, the clients, to ensure that they know what we need in the business to be safe, and they can all do the same thing. And then lastly, that risk assessment arrives with the worker. The worker needs to read, understand, and follow the control measures that's put down in that document to ensure he's safe, and to ensure he or she is safe and goes home to their family at the end of the day. So a very simple, very easy way, a very uncomplicated way of ensuring every worker can go home safe, and an uncomplicated way of complying with the law. So does that manager actually have everything in place that he needs to Is there any holes that you can see? Has he actually reduced the risk adequately? Well, did that manager actually visit the area of work? Did he actually look around the site? Did he actually check before doing the risk assessment? Did he check the control measures were okay to put in? So if he was doing a manual handling risk assessment, he would have put a control measure in. I guarantee you to say the workers have been sufficiently and adequately trained. But does he actually know that? Did he check the control matrix, the training matrix, to show that that was in place, that that training is in date, and the workers do actually know and understand what they need to do? When you send it out to the client or the contractor, do they know their responsibility? Responsibility that comes under the Health and Safety at Work Act, Section 3. They have a responsibility to ensure the control measures put in place have been actioned and are working. Did they actually just ask you for a risk assessment, just to put a tick in the box to show that they've got one, because that's what they think the law requires? These are all things that potentially increase the risk in your business if they're not being done. And then down to the worker, have we actually got the proof that he's been briefed, that he or she actually understood what was required of them? And was anybody checking? Was anybody checking that what should have been done was being done? So if any of this is not being done in the business, then you're not reducing the risk as you potentially think you are. And the problem is not the risk assessment. The problem is the people imposing this, the procedures around you, maybe even the time that you have to do it. So failing, if you was to fail today, the outcome is huge. Tata Steel had a risk assessment in place. It identified control measures. But health and safety failed to check the control measures were being adhered to. They was fined £450,000. Tesco, they failed to assess the risk of vehicles to pedestrians. They had written procedures in place, but it was easily ignored by workers. That resulted in a £1.6 million fine. So why? Why is this a problem? Why do we believe it's grief, a burden? And why do we actually feel that we don't need to do one? Because our businesses are fragmented, because our divisions are disjointed, our departments aren't working as one. So they're not working as the first image that you're seeing, where the manager sends it out, people read it, worker gets it, signs it, and continues to do the work as written. Everything is disjointed. They also fail to implement this, so there's nobody there ensuring that that is being implemented, ensuring that the control measures are in place. And then lastly, nobody's checking. Nobody's checking that the workers doing what they should be doing. The equipment is tagged as it should be and safe. And if this failure was to happen in your business today, the HSE state, you'll be prosecuted. The HSE don't then look at a small company and then go, no, sorry, it's not a problem. A big company, oh no, I don't want to upset you. They don't discriminate across any company. If you fell with the law, then you'll be prosecuted. So is this in your business today? I implore you to go and check. Get your risk assessments out. Walk around your office. Walk around the shop floor. The control measures is in place using a guarding on the machine on your shop floor. Check it's in place and working. Check the goggles and gloves are there available and sufficient to reduce the task to a low or negligible harm. Don't think that complacing your ignorance is going to help you either. Here you can see a company has been doing it for 30 years. 30 years does not make it safe. It's just you've managed to get away with it for that long. The inspector on this case stated the incident could have so easily been avoided if they provided simple but effective control measures. Simple but effective control measures. That's all that needed. And you've got these people employed in your company to do this. And the problem is not with the risk assessment, it's the people around, or the procedure you have, or the time that you're allowing, not the risk assessment itself. So who else is getting this wrong today? As we said, the HSE do not discriminate. Here's just a few fines this year, or in this period. So why is this very common? The HSE successfully prosecute a company every day. On average, one a day, successful prosecution. And they prosecute these successfully because companies are failing to enforce their risk assessments. They're inadequately written. They've not got all the proper control measures in place. And the risk assessment is the backbone of a safe system of work. So if there's no risk assessment in place, or the client or the contractor is not implementing it, then you've got no safe system of work. So you do have a choice. Finishing watching this webinar, you will have a choice. As a company, you can continue at risk. Hopefully you're not, but you may be. I see some things that you think you are at risk. So you can continue to give people what they want. And let me just explain this a bit more. Here in this office I'm studying now, we needed a new air conditioning unit put in a few months ago. We got in touch with the company, they came, reviewed the site, gave us a quote, and it was accepted. Now the air conditioning unit is 3.2 meters up on the wall. So I asked for the company to say, can you send me a risk assessment and method statement through? Which they sent through, but I know in the tone of his voice when I asked him, he felt that this was a burden. It's grief, I haven't got time to do this today. But he understood he was coming to a health and safety company, so he better get it right. So we sent the risk assessment and method statement through on the Friday afternoon. Bear in mind they was coming to do the work on the Monday. And I do think he sent it through for that reason, that I won't have time to review it over the weekend. But I did, I reviewed it. Sent back a few minor comments, but in all, it was quite a good document. So the workers arrived Monday morning. So I went out to see them. And then I says, have you been briefed on the risk assessment? And they said, no, I've not seen this before. Well, I've got an email from your project manager says that you've already been briefed. Well, he's not my project manager. I don't work for the company. I'm a contractor. Oh, right. Okay. So I can see in the back of your van, there's no scaffolding. Is that coming later? No, we'll fit the unit off a ladder. But it's 3.2 meters up. That's fine. We can manage that. Well, that's what it says in your risk assessment. Oh, he always writes that down. Really? So also in your risk assessment here, it says you've got a fire marshal for when you make the connections on the pipe work. No, we ain't got a fire marshal. But it says here, there's a fire marshal here for 2 hours, I stated. No, we've never had that. So also in your risk assessment here, it mentions that you've got a full first aider on site. No, none of us are first aid trained. So I'm quickly explaining to you there what they want. That project manager gave me what I needed to see. He gave me what I thought I wanted. He had no care for the project itself, no care for the workers or the contractors doing the job. And that's why he was at risk. So your choice is to give people what they want, or actually go forward and give people what they need. Give them the proper tools, the risk assessment, the control measures, the respect that they need to do the job safely. Do the job safely so you are compliant with the law. And the law is so far as reasonably practicable. That's what you need to do. So thank you very much for watching the webinar. There's a screen on there now about requesting a demo. If you request a demonstration of Safety Panel, then we will show you how easy a risk assessment is, how you can put all your control measures in one place, how you can ensure every worker has read and understood a risk assessment. It's disseminated through clients and contractors. It can check that your training matrix is in date. A very short demonstration, so please log on and click on the free demo button. So thank you very much for watching this demonstration. Again, I've been Carl Spencer. Please take a look at our other webinars this month. If you go to yoursafetypal.com/webinars, all 5 are listed. Thank you. Take care. Have a nice day.